Okay. I might be live. I can't be sure. Maybe? Oh, this is frustrating. Ah, it now says I am. Okay, good. Hi, everyone. And we're live. Hope everyone's had a good day. This is the first PMQs of 2021. Don't expect great things, because it's not exactly a stellar performance from Boris. I can promise you that. Let's see. Do I have sources on my screens? I do. Stream is green. Good. Let's see. Okay. Hi. We're starting a little early. I don't want to dawdle too much today. I figured, since I did make a video, and this was happening, yay, let's do this. Oh, I hope you like the new backdrop, by the way, for PMQs and the thumbnails. These are the new ones. I figured an update was required. I might get a new political recap update for the set. We shall see. Hello, Cyrene. Hello, Leona. Hello, Maximilian Robespierre. Hope you're well. Hello, Otaku Gamer Judas. John Rico. The Ramblings of a Madman, Normie the Navi, Lulu Bell. Hope you've all had a good day. And I hope you don't mind my my Twitch stream being a little bit shorter than usual. So, I did watch this. It's not a good performance at all from Boris. There are some key parts that I do take issue with on, I'd say, both sides. But I think a lot of it comes down to hindsight and quite pathetic displays. Hello, Tom and Simic Magic. Hope you're both well. So,
Bring our condolences to...
Right, is this the beginning of it? I think this is.
Hi, Prime Minister.
Is
I will
volume
first call
good?
the Prime Minister to answer the engagements question 1, and then I will call Sigurður Streeter to ask his supplementary. Prime Minister.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. I just want to say before he starts, this is such a depressing sight. I love that they've adapted well to people working from home, but honestly, in reality, this kind of sucks. It's a bit embarrassing, and fingers crossed, all the work on the vaccine and sheeple crowd control, whichever side of that aisle you take, I don't care. I'm hoping that by May, this is all dealt with, because I've got a gig to go to then, and I'd very much like to go to it. I'm a selfish individual, okay?
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure members of the House will want to join me in offering our condolences to the family and friends of our former colleague Brian Binley, who died over Christmas and who was an irrepressible member, Mr. Speaker, of this House. Mr. Speaker, today we are publishing our proposals for reforming the Mental Health Act for two...
Just want to say, I did watch that as well, but perhaps we'll save that for another day. The Mental Health Act has needed updating for quite some time.
Too long we've seen rising rates of detention that not only had little beneficial effect, but left some worse off, not better off. That's why we're making sure the Act works better for some of the most vulnerable in our society and gives them more of a legal right in deciding what treatment works best for them. And my right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, will update the House shortly. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, and in addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
I'm having to pause this more often because if you notice, there's no sign language. Yeah, this isn't on the UK Parliament channel, this is on the Guardian News, and I don't know what they're like when it comes to copyright, especially for something that should be free for all to watch. Hello, Horny Hippos, hope you're well. And yes, everything about this is a joke. There's some rather interesting statistics I've got about infections and deaths and such, but we'll get to that when time is relevant.
Now head to Southwest Devon with Sigurður Streeter. Sigurður.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I know the whole House will want to associate itself with the Prime Minister's remarks about our dear Brian Binley. Mr. Speaker, one of the groups hit hardest by the pandemic is young people in full-time education, especially those facing exams last year and this, with all of the mental health challenges that come from such uncertainty. Does my right honourable friend agree that those for whom exams have been scrapped this year would now benefit from the utmost clarity about how exactly they will be assessed.
I feel a bit sorry for those who aren't being assessed, because if they were anything like me as a student, they're kind of screwed. I didn't do any work until the examinations, and then I aced it. I did the coursework, but I didn't do the homework. I didn't revise. I just did it. And I did really... I'm not saying what I got. Hello, Mahine Moon and Arms Killer and Great Sky Troll Anti-Drama. Hope you're all well today. So I do feel sorry for those people, because they're going to be assessed by their teachers. Last year, it wasn't by their teachers, and they got shafted. The teachers need to be ones to assess them. It should always be the teachers. It should always be them, because honestly, no algorithm can do this right. Seriously. That was, by the way, the first of many train wrecks in last year's debacle, and yes, I remembered it just then. That was a bad one. Hopefully they do something better this year.
A clear plan, announced early, without last-minute changes, to help teachers and students prepare for an even more challenging experience.
So I think they can at least say in hindsight they've learnt their lesson, but it did come at the cost of a number of students not getting into colleges they wanted to go to or universities. That, I genuinely feel sorry for them. At least they got the grades, I guess. I can't think of anything nice to say about it. The issue they have, I guess, when it comes to schools is when you saw the infection rates and you notice schools are the biggest, like, breeding ground of it, there's always going to be an issue of how do we and when do we reopen schools properly. My nieces are doing homeschooling because of this, and it's quite funny. They do their morning workout with Joe Wicks, which is really funny, because the oldest thinks she's showing off by doing everything super fast, not realising that's not how exercise works. So I've showed her over and over again and failed, and the other two just have no hand-eye coordination, which is really funny. Incredibly funny. I may record it at some point.
Thank you.
Well, my right honourable friend is absolutely right, and there is clearly a problem of differential learning that has grown over the last few months, and risks being exacerbated now by the current lockdown, and we'll do everything we can to ensure that exams are fair, that the ways of testing are set out in a timely way, and the Department for Education is launching a consultation with Ofqual to ensure that we get the right arrangements for this year.
The right arrangements this year should be that the teachers grade the students, not what you did last year with a poxy algorithm, Boris. Please don't do that again. It's bad. Hello, Darth Nectar. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's had a good day. I think that's all I wanted to add on that, really. Oh, no, actually, no. He'll mention... We'll do... when I've got some statistics, and I could have mentioned it then, but it kind of... We can delay that.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Right Honourable Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join the condolences expressed by the Prime Minister, I'm sure, on behalf of the whole of the House? Can I also, Mr. Speaker, begin by paying tribute to all of those involved in the vaccine programme? I went to the Newham vaccine hub last week, and it was really uplifting.
Are you sure you should be allowed to travel like that? Is it really essential travel? I'm just poking holes to be a dick. I did see an article where people were trying to rail on Boris for going on a bike ride around London. It's like, exercise, fam. Everyone's allowed to exercise. And he championed those Boris bikes, which were actually technically Ken Livingston bikes.
To see the NHS, the Red Cross and lots of volunteers all working together and giving real hope. They had a simple message to me, which is if they had more vaccine, they could and they would do more. And I'm sure...
I'll be honest, now that all the information's been leaked, the studies from Pfizer and such, you might have another problem when tinfoil hat people come out of the woodwork after analysing all that information. Because there's a lot of it. It's a lot to go through. And no, I won't touch it because I don't want to get yeeted off YouTube.
That's shared across the country. I welcome news that's come out this morning about a pilot of 24/7 vaccine centres. I anticipate there's going to be huge clamour for this. So can the Prime Minister tell us, when will the 24/7 vaccine centres be open to the public, because I understand they're not at the moment, and when will they be rolled out across the country?
Very important question. I hope the answer is straightforward. I can't remember. The supercut of the data. Yeah, okay, Scott, you got a point there. You need the TLDR, really, don't you? The long short. Wear tinfoil hat. That's all you need to know. I haven't read it. Obviously, no way I'd be able to anyway. It's just I don't have time for that. Hello, Russell Burnham. But I know it's going to cause more issues. As far as the 24-hour, 7 days a week centres go, that's a big deal. I hope they are able to come up with something soon. But they need vaccines for it to work anyway.
Well, I'm grateful to the
Hi, Karma.
right honourable gentleman for what he says about the rollout of vaccines, and I can tell him that we'll be going to 24/7 as soon as we can, and my right friend, the Health Secretary, will be setting out more about that in due course. And as he rightly says, at the moment the limit is on supply. We have a huge network, 233 hospitals, 1,000 GP surgeries, 200 pharmacies and 50 mass vaccination centres. And they are going, as he has seen himself, exceptionally fast. I pay tribute to their work, and it's thanks to the work of the NHS and to the Vaccine Task Force that we have secured more doses, I think, per capita than virtually any other country in the world, certainly more than any other country in Europe.
That's not a flex. I don't care how many vaccines we have compared to other countries. Hello, Ray Dale. Hope you're well. And yes, we're talking about your people. Ignoring lockdown. If you can get away with it, do whatever you want. It's not my business. I used to have an avatar with a tinfoil hat option, but because I changed the current style I have now, it doesn't work because of the head movement. Guess it's unfortunate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I obviously welcome that and urge the Prime Minister and the Government to get on with this. We're all happy to help, and there are many volunteers who are...
And yes, Arms Killer,
have
non-answer,
24/7
agreed.
vaccine centres, the better for our NHS and the better for our economy. Mr. Speaker, the last PMQs was on the 16th of December. The Prime Minister told us then that we were seeing, in his words, a significant reduction in the virus. He told us then that there was no need for endless lockdowns and no need to change the rules about Christmas mixing.
Oh, hindsight. Oh, no, I know what you're doing. Come on.
Since then, since that last PMQs, 17,000 people have died of COVID. 60,000 people have been admitted to hospital. And there's been over 1 million new cases.
It's doing such a hindsight thing. I had to break it up because of, copyright.
How did the Prime Minister get it so wrong?
Okay. Perhaps Boris shouldn't have been so enthusiastic in how he positively engaged on it, sure. But there's no way he can predict how a virus is going to behave. He had to have faith and trust that the measures would work, and they didn't work. So he had to adapt accordingly. I'm just going to let him finish.
And why was he so slow to act?
So the numbers, they're up. Number of deaths are up 50%. Last Wednesday, just over 1,000 deaths, up this week to 1,500. Number of cases have gone down. They've started going down anyway, from 62,000 to 47,000. From personal experience, I do have a relative who's currently stuck in hospital. As an update to that person, by the way, for 15 minutes a day, they're able to exist on non-100% oxygen. But in that time, he has to wolf his food down. He's been able to speak to his wife over phone. Do a thumbs up at least and say he loves her. And that's about it. It's not going so well for some people. Handling-wise, he's a big boy, so I'm not surprised. Who wants a COVID cuddle? You wait one day. That'll actually be an acceptable joke, Russell. Sadly, though, it's not ideal. By the way, I'm only basing this on the numbers from... Where have I got these numbers from? I think these are from the Office of National... No, they're not National... Where'd they come from? Healthcare London. Yeah. That's where they are. So it's not too bad. It's gone down in number of infections at least. But the measures, there's a debate on this. Do the measures work? So, I keep nudging my phone. In the past few months, it's gone up a bit, hasn't it? But the measures are nowhere near as strict as they were in the first lockdown. So one does have to wonder... well, I'll be honest, even with the additional ones they want to... they're brought to you courtesy of a D20. Thank you, Socky. Actually, I actually have a D20. Alright, let's do this properly. We'll now declare how many people in this... Oh, I've got one here, we go. Alright, I've got a D20. This will tell me how many people, exactly, up to 20. If there's any more than that, they're all liars. Currently in the UK... Oh. Only one person has... It's that person in Kent, isn't it? That prick... Did you hear that Merkel called the new strain the British virus? We can now trace it to, and according to my D20, one person in Kent. Oh no, I'm in Kent. I don't know what that was. Amazing. One person in Kent, everyone. Let's just carry on.
Well, Mr. Speaker, of course, what he fails to point out is that on the 18th of December, 2 days later, the government was informed of the spread of the new variant and the fact that it spreads roughly 50 to 70% faster than the old variant, and that is why it is indeed correct to say that the situation today is very troubling indeed. We have 32,000 COVID patients in hospital. The NHS is under huge strain. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to all the staff, the doctors, the nurses, everybody working now in our NHS who are doing an extraordinary job under the most challenging possible circumstances.
COVID 2021 YOLO.
Who so desperately need it. And I thank them for what they are doing. But at the same time, I also want to thank all those involved in what is the biggest vaccination programme in the history of this country, where once again the NHS is...
I'd like to argue the Fire of London was in fact a... No, I'm not finishing that.
...is in the lead, working with the Army and the Legion of Volunteers and everybody else. And that programme of vaccines, Mr. Speaker, does show the way forward. It does show how we're going to come through this pandemic. And again, I repeat my gratitude to all those involved, because they've now vaccinated 2.4 million people, delivered 2.8 million doses, more than any other country.
Don't care.
In Europe. This is the toughest of times, Mr. Speaker, but we can see the way forward.
I would say, and as quite rightly Doc says in the chat, the NHS has always been under a huge strain. I've got 3-4 articles here on my screen, all referencing the number of cases being admitted to hospital in England daily. Of course, the numbers are huge, but even if it wasn't, the NHS has always been under strain for some reason. There's always been an issue at this time of year, especially with flu and man flu, mostly man flu, because that is apparently an absolute crippler.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says that effectively 2 days after that PMQs, the advice changed. The truth is, the indicators were all in the wrong direction back at the last PMQs. But be that as it may, the Prime Minister says he got that advice on the 18th of December, 2 days after PMQs. And we've all seen the Sage minutes of the 22nd of December confirming the advice that was given to the government. The government's advisers warned the Prime Minister that the new variant was spreading fast and it was highly unlikely that November-style lockdowns would be sufficient to control it. Pretty clear advice.
That advice was known to the public in November. We already knew. So I'll be honest, Yeah, the government was always going to ignore it.
The 18th of December to the Prime Minister from Sage, tougher lockdown than November is going to be needed. I've got the minutes here, everybody's seen them. Yet instead of acting on the 18th of December, the Prime Minister sat on his hands for over 2 weeks. We're now seeing in the daily figures the tragic consequences of that delay. So how does the Prime Minister justify delaying for 17 days after he got that advice on the 18th of December?
I would assume, and this is an obvious one to be honest, the reason he delayed to the extent that he did, it's called winter, you're right, is because he wanted to keep the economy going during the Christmas period and let people have Christmas with their families. People after Christmas can say all they like, it's just Christmas, you'll get another one. But in reality, to a lot of people, it means a lot more to them. It's a family event. It's one of those big family events. So you can try and downplay that, but in reality, it doesn't work. That's always going to be the answer. I guess it just depends on whether or not Boris will actually say this. But to be honest, since that answer opens up a few gaps, which Keir could hammer him with, I doubt he will.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I must disagree very profoundly with what the right honourable gentleman just said, because he knows very well that within 24 hours of getting the advice on the 18th about the spread of the new variant, we acted to put the vast part of the country into much, much tougher measures.
You did. Yeah. Stopped all of us from travelling, didn't it? Yeah.
And indeed, they have, what we are now seeing, and it's very, very important to stress that these are early days, we are now seeing the beginnings of some signs that is starting to have an effect in many parts of the country, but by no means everywhere. And it is early days, Mr. Speaker, and people must keep their discipline, keep enforcing the rules, and work together, as I've said, to roll out that vaccine programme. But, Mr. Speaker, I do recall that on the day that we went into a national lockdown, and sadly we were obliged to shut the schools, even on that day, the Labour Party was advocating keeping schools open for understandable reasons, Mr. Speaker, because we all want to keep schools open, but I think it a bit much to be attacked for taking tougher measures to put this country into the protective measures it needed when the Labour Party were themselves calling then to keep schools open.
Yeah, I agree. Christmas is one of those days that gets everyone together. It's for my family, it's the thing where a lot of time and effort's put into the food part for me. I prefer dealing with that, so I get the meat hamper. But on Christmas Day, I will invariably, hello Empty Vessel YouTube, hope you're well, I will invariably end up going around the local corner shop to buy gravy. Because they forget it every bloody year. Although I'd like to make it from scratch, they won't do that because my sisters are snobs. And by that I mean poor snobs.
Mr. Speaker, just for the record, I wrote to the Prime Minister on the 22nd of December. I hadn't seen the Sage advice at that stage.
Oh. Oh, nice. Don't you love The Guardian? They slapped an ad on this. Well then. That's good of you. I'm putting ad block up next time. Nope. Alright, cool. Sorry guys, you get an ad break. Give me the thing so I can skip it. There we go. Okay, half an hour in, 27 minutes in, they put an ad on that. That's fucking stupid.
If it indicated there should be a national lockdown...
All this because I didn't want to use 480p, with which is the UK Parliament channel at the moment, 480p, cut down the middle. You only get a quarter of the screen for the actual bloody video, and the other quarter, another one of the quarters has the sign language. I don't want the sign language. Oh, right. Christmas donation. Thank you very much for the donation. Yes, please consider smashing the like button. I greatly appreciate it. What's an ad? I have no idea.
He should do it immediately, and he'd have our full support. I'll put that in the public domain so people can just check the record.
Funny thing here is, as much as he says that his party will support it, they kind of do and don't. There are still members of his party that don't as well, because they don't believe that there are people who are against it. Let's go with that.
But, Mr. Speaker, more fundamentally, the Prime Minister says we took measures straight away, we put people into different tiers. The advice was a November-style lockdown is not enough. How on earth was putting people into a different tiered system an answer to the advice that was given? And isn't this the situation, that every time there's a big decision to take, the Prime Minister gets there late?
Because you keep coming up with the ideas first, and he doesn't want to be seen to be used as a puppet by you or something. I think the question is that, is the threat of COVID worth sacrificing most other things? It's a valid question at that point. I can understand why many are against it, though. Pink Harlow, the Driving Ape, thank you very much for the $2 donation. Great work on the Soho Karen video. I wished I knew about her interview on CBS, because that was... I watched that when I had a little chance, a little clip. She's nuts.
The next big decision is obvious. The current restrictions are not strong enough to control the virus. Stronger restrictions are needed. And it's no point members opposite shaking their heads. In a week or two, the Prime Minister is likely to be asking members to vote for this. So can the Prime Minister tell us, when infection rates are much higher than last March, when hospital admissions are much higher than last March, when death rates are much higher than last March, why on earth are restrictions weaker than last March?
So this is a valid, if you believe the lockdown restrictions work, why aren't they as strict as the first lockdown? The first lockdown was horrible. I can't see my nephew anymore, which really upsets me, because I used to, for those who don't know, when he was first born, for the first 2.5 years of his life, he was here with me in this house, and I see him every day and give him a cuddle, let him beat me up, essentially. It's very funny, because I didn't really care. Now I can't, and I don't like that. I think it's my birthday soon. I don't think they can come over. That kind of sucks. I don't celebrate my birthday anyway, really, to be honest, but it'd be nice to get birthday beats from him, I guess. They'll be living in plastic bubbles. I tend to agree. Like button has COVID, please use dislike instead. I don't mind which one you use. I normally get at least 4 downvotes on these streams anyway, because I have some dedicated lovers. So I don't really care what you choose. Interaction is engagement regardless. Hello, Sonny Chew to Electric Boogaloo. And I have no idea what this television is. In my day, we had a stage and 2 puppets with people's hands up their arses.
Mr. Speaker, we keep things under a constant review, and we will continue to do so. And certainly, if there is any need to toughen up restrictions, which I don't rule out, Mr. Speaker, we will of course come to this House. But perhaps, as is so often the case, the right honourable gentleman didn't listen to my earlier answer. Because I pointed out to the House that actually the lockdown measures that we have in place, combined with the Tier 4 measures that we were using, are starting to show signs of some effect, and we must take a...
But his point is, they're taking effect now, but they didn't take effect straight away. And he, being opposition, he's going to poke at that and say, but I want... I'll do it properly. I want results now. Hello, Mel Clump. Hope you're well.
Count of that too, Mr. Speaker, because nobody can doubt the serious damage that is done by lockdowns to people's mental health, to jobs, to livelihoods as well. And Mr. Speaker, if to listen to the right honourable gentleman over the last 12 months, you'd think he had absolutely no other policy except to plunge this country into 12 months of lockdown. And as for coming too late to things, Mr. Speaker, I think it was only a few weeks ago that he was attacking the vaccine task force that has secured the very doses, the millions of doses that have put this country into the comparatively favourable position that we now find ourselves.
It's just not true. Every time I've spoken about the vaccine, I've supported it. But the Prime Minister says we're balancing health restrictions and the economy. And yet we ended 2020 with the highest death toll in Europe and the deepest recession in any major economy.
I would agree at this present moment, Keir Starmer is a tad obtuse. But I do think, as far as Labour leaders go, although I do think Corbyn was okay, he just had a really bad idea for Brexit. He really did, i.e. didn't have a clue. I think Keir has the bigger potential right now. Whereas Boris is kind of floundering a bit. I like Boris because he's funny, but he's not getting on top of things, and it's showing in hindsight, which is where obviously Keir is best suited. He is one of those guys, I think, who'd be very happy on a subcommittee railing on people in hindsight.
So that just isn't a good enough answer. Mr. Speaker, I want to turn to the latest free school meals scandal.
Right, I'm going to, before you even jumps in on this, say that this is the one thing that I genuinely believed Keir Starmer hammers Boris for. Because for some odd reason, this bruises the Conservatives. It kind of wounds them. Free school meals hurts them, and you can tell with the answer Boris gives. I'm going to read a list of things, by the way, of what the government guidance for free school meals included, and what was shared on social media widely as what they received instead. Yeah.
We've all seen images on social media of disgraceful food parcels for children.
But I would point out, it is not the fault of the government, it is entirely the fault of the distributor who is not giving what they're supposed to be giving. Pincalo, our Premier, literally said, "See you next Tuesday," when he updated the province on whether there will be a curfew for oh boy. Thank you for the $5 donation. Your Premier, your glorious benevolent leader. He's a bit of a dick.
Costed at about £5 each. That's not what the government promised.
Hey, Diskana.
It's nowhere near enough. So can I ask the Prime Minister, would he be happy with his kids living on that? And if not, why is he happy for other people's kids to do so?
So, according to the government guidance, free school meals would include a loaf of bread, 2 potatoes, 3 tomatoes, 5 portions of fruit, 3 cheese portions, 1 tin of baked beans, 3 individual serving yoghurt pots, 1 cucumber, 1 tin of sweet corn, 1 bottle of milk, I would assume a 2 to 4 pinter, and 2 tins of meat. That makes me think of corned beef, and if I want to make children suffer, yes! And you know what parts of the bread you're getting? You're getting the ends of it to eat your corned beef with. You're getting that one piece at the end with a kink in it, and the one that's too thick at the other end. The image is widely shared. I actually have it as a thumbnail. So, is that this one? I think it is this image. For some reason, this was being shared about. The image on the right is... yeah. But people have been receiving... so you got the image on the right. That's what the government says you should get, right? Well, people have been getting... not that. They haven't been... What they've been getting look like the portions of fruit with the little fruit bags. Like the ones you get at McDonald's. You know, the apple slices. It's not good. I would say the supplier is the issue here, not the government. Of course, the government should, the moment this happened, chase them up. I saw the pictures on Twitter a few days ago. I didn't know what that was about. And I was laughing. I was like, if people are on benefits and you give them that to live on for a week, they're dying after day 2. Okay. That isn't... I mean, I'll be honest, the government image isn't too bad for school lunches for a week, perhaps. Yeah, for kids. Yeah, that's all right, actually, because that mixes up a bit. So what kids have been getting instead, 1 loaf of bread, 2 potatoes, 1 tomato, so not 3, 5 portions of fruit, usually in those bags, an unknown number of cheese portions, 1 tin of baked beans, 3 yogurts, but nothing here indicates if they're individual serving or if they're frubes. 1 bag of pasta, which isn't on the list anyway. I mean, carbs, it helps. 2 packets of Serene. Serene, I believe, in this context, are malt loaf. If you want your kids to dump regular, go for it. Hello, Smoking in G Sharp, and hello, Vorpal Hit. Hope you're both well. And finally, 2 carrots. Cool. So I guess the image I showed earlier actually was what people have been receiving. Now I've said that. I'll put it back on the screen in a second. Did it have Serene? Oh, it did! Malt loaf! Yeah, and I'm right, Froobs. Froobs! I mean, they got some decent blocks of cheese, I guess. And a couple bananas. That's not bad. That's not... And Boris wouldn't serve that to his kids unless it was al dente. Just saying.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I don't think anybody in this House is happy with the disgraceful images that we've seen of the food parcels that have been offered. They are appalling. They're an insult to the families that have received them. And I'm grateful, by the way, to Marcus Rashford, who highlighted the issue and is doing quite an effective job by comparison with the right honourable gentleman in holding the government to account for these issues. And the company in question.
That's because Keir Starmer was busy in Newham or Newark, wherever it was he went, to go and look at people doing vaccine stuff.
Has rightly apologised and agreed to reimburse, but
Human
it is because we want,
yes.
It's because we want to see.
I'm going to read Smoking in G Sharp here. Rumours have it the embargoes and trade restrictions are coming. Countries going to hoard their products. Not surprised. There have been issues with people with fresh produce at borders, and it's causing issues. In fact, the paper pervert brings it up soon. So, my apologies. We shall get to it, I promise.
Our kids properly fed throughout this very difficult pandemic, that we've massively increased the value of what we're providing, another £170 million in the COVID winter grant scheme.
I'll be honest. 170 million in a grant scheme with a country of 65 million. Eligibility, yes, will bring that down a fair few million. I don't think it goes as far as you think it does, though.
£220 million more for the holiday activities and food programme, and we're now rolling out the national free school meal voucher scheme, as we did in March, to give parents the choice to give kids the food that they need. Under this government, we will do everything we can to ensure that no child goes hungry as a result of the privations caused by this pandemic.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says that the parcels are disgraceful, but it shouldn't have taken social media to shame the Prime Minister into action.
I'll be honest, actually, you're wrong. Because we need to know whether people are getting the right parcels or not. If they're not, what are they going to do? Tell their local government, "Oi, where's the rest of my food?" If the supplier isn't done through them, it's not something they can deal with. So social media was the correct place to go with it. Because social media is another outlet for us to now talk. Hello, Jem. Hope you're well. So am I not wrong? I'm not, am I? It's correct. In fact, people should go to social media. Hello, Credible Threat.
Like the Education Secretary, he blames
Hello, Andre.
someone, and he invites me to hold him to account. So let me do that. Because blaming others, Prime Minister, it's not as simple as that, is it? Because I've checked the government guidance on free school meals, the current guidance, published by the Department of Education. I've got it here. It sets out example parcel for one child for 5 days. Department of Education.
Oh, that's one child.
Be held to account. 1 loaf of bread, 2 baked potatoes, block of cheese, baked beans, 3 individual yogurts. Sound familiar? That's the images, Prime Minister, you just called disgraceful. The only difference I can see in this list and what the Prime Minister's described as disgraceful is a tin of sweet corn, a packet of ham and a bottle of milk. So he blames others.
Bottle of milk sounds really weird, doesn't it? We don't do bottles of milk, we do it in pints. So what is a bottle of milk in the pint size? I'm kind of curious. Are we talking like the old glass bottles, which were just 1 pint? Was it 1 pint or 2? I don't know. It was wasted space, it was glass.
But this is on his watch. The truth is, families come last under this government, whether it's exams, free school meals or childcare.
If memory serves Serene, he's donated thousands towards it. legit, he's actually been very proactive. I know people say, well, you've got all these millions, you should just give it all up. That doesn't solve the issue of actually getting the food in the first place. Hello, Roger Brown. I throw the beans at them. I wouldn't be against it. It'd be very funny to get some beans in his hair and use Boris to mop it all up.
Will the Prime Minister undertake, he wants to be held to account, to take down this guidance by the close of play today and ensure that all of our children can get a decent meal during the pandemic?
Speaker, the right honourable gentleman's words would be less hypocritical and absurd if it were not for the fact that the
I don't believe anybody's a hypocrite.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to do something sensible here. So, he's going to get chastised. I'm going to let that happen.
I think we need to be a little bit careful about what we're saying to each other. There was a not truth earlier, and there was also comparisons to others. Please, let's keep the discipline in this chamber and the respect for each other.
Blah, blah, blah.
We're tidying up how this parliament behaves.
Yeah, I don't care. Right, so the problem here is Boris doesn't stop. Well, let's see. It's at 33 minutes 27, and we're now. I can get to 35:16. He carries on for like 2.5 minutes.
To dismantle the very pharmaceutical companies that have created this miracle of science, which is true.
Prime Minister, there are questions, and sometimes you've got to try and answer the question to what was asked of you. I think to run through the history is one thing. But in fairness, it is Prime Minister's questions. What I would say is it was the final question, with lots of others to go through. So I think what I'm going to do now is move on to Simon Juppin-Sidner.
I'll put him there.
Desperate to ask a
right,
question.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the chat back up so I can see it. We're going to go straight to Blackford for one question, all right? One question of the paper pervert. I might get that updated. Let's do that. There we go. Right. He's not really doing his paper pervert stuff. Not truth. Yeah, so it's that thing of... he didn't specify, but the moment he called him a hypocrite, like he straight up, he didn't instead direct it through the chair. He directed it he sent it straight at Keir Starmer. The Speaker had to step in. Is he from Slytherin? He's from Labour.
He's extended the grants, and that's why we've got the cuts for both for VAT and for business rates, and we will do everything we can to help as we go forward. But the best thing would, of course, be to ensure that we roll out this vaccine programme and bounce back as fast as possible. Any further announcements?
Yeah, hurry up. Get to the paper pervert.
Makes will be well ahead of the
give us the paper
well ahead
pervert.
Of the 31st of March, by which we intend to have a budget.
Let's head up to Scotland to the leader of the SNP with Ian Blackford. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituent in Lochaber, a producer and exporter of shellfish, is experiencing his worst nightmare. After loading a lorry of fresh local seafood on Monday, as he's done for 35 years, his driver faced bureaucracy and delays. Brexit red tape now means that £40,000 of his fresh, high-quality produce is lost, unable to be sold. Mr. Speaker, that 40,000 produce is income for over 100 local families in many remote and fragile communities. Can the Prime Minister tell my constituent, where is the sea of opportunity
Hello, Lloyd Watson.
that he and his Scottish Tories promised?
It's always on the attack of the Tories, the dreaded Tories. How about we just calm it down? I do tend to agree with the bureaucracy thing, although I have heard rumours that other countries, not just our own, have additional... I'm not reading that out, empty vessel. I know what it says. Hello, Christina. Hope you're well. The answer to this is quite tricky. The red tape isn't just on this side. It's on the other side where people are introducing it in some places. I genuinely feel bad for his constituent. I really do. I can't make excuses for that. And Boris's answer is pretty shit.
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we're putting £100 million into supporting the fishing industry in Scotland and across...
That doesn't answer the question.
Across the whole of the UK.
Because he made it a clear question straight at a constituent who has lost money on something. You can pay him back for it.
And it is the policy of the Scottish Nationalist Party not just to break up the United Kingdom under their harebrained scheme, but also to take Scotland back into the EU and hand back control of Scottish fisheries to Brussels, thereby throwing away all those opportunities in a way that I think the right honourable gentleman himself opposite would say
Thank you, Lloyd
was
Watson.
totally absurd. And I'm amazed that he continues on this track.
Right. I'm ending it with that because I really don't want to do the second question. Is the video? Oh, the video's gone. Nice. How about I try it the other way? Does this work? Oh, it does. Okay. Thank you, everyone who's joined. I do apologise that it wasn't the best. I ran out of time. Okay, we had a pipe blow in the house. My attention was elsewhere. I'm going to go do other things. I need to write notes for videos for tomorrow anyway. Thank you very much for joining. I will maybe do a video tomorrow. If not, it'll be on Friday instead because there's no political recap because Trups is away. Paper, thank you for the £3 donation. Smash like to save me. I will see you all potentially on Friday. Yeah. See ya.